Hi everyone. Recently, in my day-to-day life, I've been tasked with restructuring, rebuilding, and redoing an existing code base into a whole new project. And for that, I've been going through thousands of GitHub repos and thousands of lines of code, and that's been driving me crazy. Actually, it's been driving me mad. But there's bugs and issues I've been seeing repeatedly that have made me frustrated and furious, and a lot of things. But there's one thing that I've noticed, which I thought was very commonplace, that is a great standard that everyone should do, but I see it so rarely, and it has been frustrating me so much recently that, as a Gen Zer myself, I said, what better thing to do than make a YouTube video about it? You know, done. I can't do the day in my life videos. My day in my life is too boring. I've got that Gen Z urge right there, but I can't do it. Can't do it. Those aren't in anymore. So I thought, might as well vent. I think that's it. The new venting YouTube algorithm is how to go, even though I've never made YouTube videos, except maybe Minecraft ones when I was 13, but, those are lost to time, and I hope no one ever finds them. But besides that, I've thought, hey, what better thing to do than make a YouTube video discussing this and hopefully getting some other opinions on it, even though I could probably summarize this in a Reddit post and get some millions of people yelling at me already or quicker, which typical Reddit fashion. But as a Gen Zer myself, I know that we all have short attention spans, so I have added some nice gameplay right down here, so you don't even have to listen to me. You're welcome. I think I had. This is the power of Gen Z, probably attention spans. I know what everyone wants. Not only that, I think with posting my first YouTube video, I'm entered a class of YouTube developer. And I think once you become a YouTube developer, you're just better. You're a 10x dev. So I can't wait. I can't wait to peddle my first Udemy course that is consistent of all free stuff you could have probably found online. I'm excited for that. But that's not the point of this video. And so isn't this problem. This is not the problem I'm having right now. I'm not in the unemployment line just yet. But this is an inevitable truth for all of us, and we gotta understand this is what's coming. The only algorithm and data structure we're gonna be worried about is a queue at this point. But until that happens, I'm gonna be ranting. So the problem I've been seeing is else statements. I'm about to make a statement that, of course, I'm about to be hated on and made fun of because of my lack of experience, and I'm going to be torn to shreds and the comments and on Reddit and Hacker News, Y Combinator, everywhere. But I don't think as developers we should be using else statements. No more. Else statements are a curse on code bases and readability. If your code requires an else, your logic is off. There's, of course, just like everything in life, there's exceptions to the rule. However, with else statements, you are just making your code confusing. And the only solution here is return-only programming. I love this. I had thought that this was the default standard through all my classes, through all my years as a developer. I had thought this was the standard until I started going through huge swaths of code bases. I know what some of you are thinking. What is return-only programming? How will this save us? How will this replenish our old legacy code base? And how will this keep us from creating hundreds days worth of backlogs? And is this the promised Garden of Eden that we've all been hoping for as developers? And I'm here to say, yeah, yes it is. And also, if you're asking that question, I was probably looking through your code base myself. So, we're all here to learn. And to be fair, I write some of the worst code myself. So we're just here to learn together and grow together. But let's use these two examples. Here, you can inscribe like a few lines of code here and a few lines of code here. It won't matter. This one can go anywhere. But you can see we have two checks, if and else if, combined. So you gotta. This takes mental fortitude here. You gotta check, oh, param1 is bigger. Gotta return param2. But what if, else if param2 is bigger than 0? I gotta make sure to return this part. Like I have to do a mind map. A mind map of all, possible values for param1, param2 when going through this logic. And this is a simplified solution, obviously, because I'm not good enough to think of a great solution in 10 seconds. So, we got to stick with this. Shows the code quality I've been producing, but the fortitude you need to solve this problem is already getting out of hand. Like this if statement right here is creating some mental gymnastics. But let us fix it. Right here. Look at this beauty right here. Only thing I need to worry about is this if statement right here. We broke it out. No else. No else. None. Nowhere. No more else statement in between these two beautiful functions. Instead, we have an if statement here. Oh, if param1 is 0, okay, I'll return param2. Oh, that's great. Oh, another if statement. If param2 is greater than 0, return param1. How simple is that? It is beautiful. It's fantastic. I think loops are an even better example of where and why we should use a return only policy. Here is a loop that will not print out even numbers or the number 3. To achieve that, all I did was create checks in the first iteration of the loop that causes it to skip over those two numbers, and then it prints out anything that's remaining. So it'll just iterate through. If it hits an even number, it'll just go back, continue on. If it hits 3, it will go back, continue on. Otherwise, we get our print statement right here. And some of you might be saying, yes, obviously, this is so easy. Everyone does this. Sadly, no. Not everyone. There is opposition to using continues and breaks. Right here, there's this Stack Overflow I saw doing some research where it says, my boss keeps mentioning nonchalantly that bad programmers use break and continue in loops. I use them all the time because they make sense. Let me show you the inspiration. Right here, he does a beautiful return first approach in here too. And then his boss says they are terrible because there's this concept of go-tos that Dijkstra himself hated, and for very valid reasons. Go-tos make every piece of code a little bit harder to understand and a lot worse. Go-tos are terrible. However, breaks and continues are not go-to statements. Unlike go-to statements that can hit any piece of your code, breaks and continues can't. You already know what execution is going to go next. You know, with this continue statement, you're going to go back to the top of this loop. You know, at the end, you're going to break out. Let's say we had a break statement here. The next line will be executed. You cannot use continues onto some other piece of code over here. You can't just jump and continue on to like eternity. No. With this article here, this article, completely wrong. I do not agree with this. This is a terrible take, and his boss most likely has not coded in a few years at this point, because that is a terrible take. Though, I will say, there are some issues with it. I don't think logging and debugging is one of them. I think with statements like this, you can log and debug and add logging here and here. And if you have to have debugging in spots and it like ruins your debugging experience, then that is a problem with your logic, not a problem with the concept itself. There's one issue that I do agree with, and that is resources. Some languages, most of this code is inspired by JavaScript and like Java mix, but languages that have no garbage collection and no resource management built in, this will be a problem. And I've experienced this myself. For languages like JavaScript, whenever you have an RDS connection, and you need to release that connection, this will be a problem. So sadly, if anyone has thought of better ways to do it, I would love to know. But for mine, I have sadly resorted to releasing the connection here. Let's go Postgres, not release, or I think it's like disconnect. I think that is the one issue with return only programming. But there are so much more upside, and this itself can be, modified, and we can put this in try-catch statements itself to release and continue on. That as a standard, all code bases should avoid using else statements and just use release early programming, and then it avoids the ultimate hell of nesting. Never do you nest. So return only programming is the savior that we've all been looking for, and it will clean out our code bases and save us. And maybe I am just going on a rant because I've been frustrated this past week, and I thought the best way is to go on the internet and share my opinion. But as a developer, this is such a easy thing to follow and such a obvious rule that I advocate for it, and I hope all of you are gonna implement and use it. Though I might get some comments saying I'm completely wrong and I'm one of the worst developers out there, so that is also a possibility. But thank you, and you will be seeing this in a Udemy course in the future, charging $15. So thank you very much.